stop right there. Before you open your mouth one more time to explain yourself, I need you to understand something brutal. Every time you justify your decision, defend your choice, or explain your worth, you're making yourself cheaper. You're training people to disrespect you. You're handing them the ammunition they need to keep you underpaid and powerless. Think about the last time you asked for a raise. Did you walk in there and explain why you deserve it? Did you list your accomplishments, your hours, your sacrifices? Of course you did. That was the moment you lost. Here's the truth nobody tells you. Explanation is confession. Every word you use to justify yourself reveals your insecurity. Every reason you give exposes your doubt, and powerful people smell that uncertainty like blood in the water. Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago. He watched kings explain their decisions and lose their kingdoms. He learned what the powerful never forget. The moment you explain, you've already lost the game. Today I'm showing you 7 ruthless laws of strategic silence. These principles separate the guy who gets walked over from the guy who walks into a room and shifts the power dynamic without saying a word. By the end, you'll understand why your mouth has been your biggest enemy, why silence isn't awkward, it's expensive, and why the less you say, the more you're worth. Drop this affirmation in the comments right now. Silence is currency. Now let's talk about why you've been playing this game wrong your entire life. Society trained you to be a confession machine. From the moment you could form sentences, they started the programming. Teachers asked why you didn't do your homework. Parents asked why you broke the rules. Bosses asked why you need more money. Every authority figure taught you the same lie. If you just explain yourself well enough, they'll understand and give you what you deserve. That was never the goal. The goal was control. When you're constantly explaining yourself, you're revealing your thought process. You're exposing your vulnerabilities. You're showing exactly where you can be pushed and broken down. Every explanation is a data point they collect about you. Every justification is a weakness they file away for later. Here's what actually happens. The more transparent you are, the more predictable you become. The more predictable you are, the easier you are to control. And the easier you are to control, the less you get paid. Your transparency isn't building trust, it's building your cage. Look at who gets promoted in your company. Is it the guy who explains every decision? No, it's the guy who moves with quiet confidence. The one who makes decisions without needing validation. That gap, that mystery, that's what creates value. You've been taught that being an open book makes you honest, but in the corporate battlefield, being an open book makes you disposable. When they can read every page, they know exactly how much to offer you. They know your limits. They know your fears. They know precisely how little they can give you. This is why you keep hitting that salary ceiling. Not because you're not good enough, because you talk too much, you explain too much, you give away your power in every conversation without realizing it. Write this affirmation in the comments. Silence is currency. Because from this moment forward, every word you don't say is money they can't take from you. Now let me show you exactly how to escape this trap. Law 1. Explanation is confession of weakness. You walk into your boss's office to ask for that raise. You sit down, you've prepared, you start talking. You explain how you've been there 3 years. You justify your request by listing accomplishments. You defend your number by showing what others make. You keep talking, filling every pause, and with every word you're losing. Here's what your boss hears. This person needs me to agree with them. This person is unsure of their value. This person can be negotiated down. Your explanation isn't building your case, it's building their defense. Think about the highest paid people you know. Do they explain why they're worth their fee? Does the consultant making $500 an hour justify his rate? No. They state their price and wait. No explanation, no justification, just a number and silence. This cost you real money. I'm talking about 20k, 30k, 50k left on the table in every negotiation because you thought explaining yourself was advocating for yourself. Over a career, this single mistake cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now the psychology they're using against you. Your boss knows something about human behavior. People who explain are people who doubt. When you walk in with a prepared speech, what you're really saying is, you're not sure you deserve it. You need their approval to feel valid. The moment they sense that need, you've given them all the power. Machiavelli once said, "Never explain." Your friends don't need it and your enemies won't believe it. Explanation reverses power. The person seeking understanding is always beneath the person granting it. So what do you do instead? You make your request, you state your price, you declare your decision, then you stop talking. Full stop. No elaboration, no justification, you just wait. The silence becomes unbearable for them, not you. They start filling it. They start explaining why they can't do what you asked. And in that explanation, they reveal everything. Their budget, their constraints. They negotiate against themselves while you sit there quiet, learning exactly what levers to pull. Let me give you a real scenario. Executive walks into a board meeting wanting approval for a $2 million project. The amateur explains why it's a good investment, lists benefits, justifies every dollar. The professional says, "I need $2 million for this initiative. Here's the expected return." Then stops. When someone asks why, they don't defend, they reframe. What specific concerns do you have? Now the board is explaining themselves to the executive. Power reversed. Here's the twist. The less you explain, the more they listen. When your words are scarce, they carry weight. When you don't fill every silence, people pay attention to what you do say. Your silence forces them to take you seriously. From today forward, every time you feel the urge to explain yourself, stop. Remember that your justification is their ammunition. Your explanation is their roadmap to paying you less. Drop this affirmation. My silence commands respect. Law 2. Mystery creates value. You know that co-worker who tells everyone everything? The one who shares every project in the break room. That person is never getting promoted above their current level, and you need to understand why. Information is the only real currency in the corporate game. What you know that others don't. What you're working on that they can't see. The moment you give that away for free, you've destroyed your own leverage. If everyone knows exactly what you're capable of, exactly what you're working on, exactly what your next move is, what reason do they have to pay you more? You've already shown them everything. You're completely understood, completely replaceable. But the person who keeps certain things quiet, the one who's working on projects nobody quite understands, that person becomes fascinating. That person creates questions, and questions create value. When people have to guess at your capabilities, they usually guess high. Here's what this costs you in real terms. Every idea you share too early is an idea someone else can execute before you. Every strategy you reveal becomes a strategy they can copy. I've watched people lose 50k opportunities because they told the wrong person their plan at the wrong time. That person took the idea and got the promotion that should have been yours. Companies promote mystery. They pay for potential they can't quite quantify. When you're completely transparent, you remove the potential. But when you reveal strategically, when you keep some capabilities quiet, you seem deeper than you are. You seem more valuable. Your company wants you transparent. They call it collaboration. But what they really want is to see all your cards. When they can see your full hand, they know exactly how to play against you. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few know what you really are. Your appearance is what you control. Your reality is what you protect. The mystery is what makes you valuable." So here's the strategy. You become selective about what you reveal and when. You don't lie. You just don't show everything at once. You hint at projects without explaining them completely. You let people know you're working on something interesting, then you change the subject. Let me give you an example. You're working on getting a certification that'll make you more valuable. The amateur tells everyone at work. The professional keeps it quiet, gets it, then drops it strategically in a negotiation. By the way, I'm now certified in X. Suddenly you're revealing new value they didn't know they were getting. Your mystery just became worth 15K more per year. The twist is counterintuitive. You think sharing makes you collaborative. But the person who shares everything becomes common. The person who holds back strategically becomes rare. Rarity creates value. Mystery creates premium pricing. Think about every powerful person you've observed. You don't know everything about them. You know what they want you to know. The rest is mystery. And that mystery is what makes them valuable. That's what makes them expensive. From today forward, become selective. When someone asks what you're working on, something interesting is a complete answer. When they want to know your plans, I'm exploring a few options is enough. You're not lying. You're just not revealing everything to everyone all the time. Drop this affirmation, I reveal strategically. Law 3. Silence inverses power. You're in a negotiation. They make you an offer. It's lower than you want, but higher than you expected. Most people fill the silence immediately. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I was thinking more like, and they've lost. But watch what happens when you do something different. They make the offer. You sit there. You don't smile. You don't frown. You don't speak. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. The silence becomes heavy. Then something magical happens. They start talking. Of course, that's just the base. We could potentially look at. They're negotiating against themselves, and you haven't said a word. This is the power of strategic silence. Most people are terrified of silence. They'll do anything to end it. They'll fill it with words, concessions, revelations. But when you're the person who can sit in silence, you're the person who controls the entire interaction. Think about how much this has cost you. Every time you broke the silence first in a negotiation, every time you filled the pause with talking, each of those moments was worth money, real money. Over a career, your inability to shut up has cost you more than any skill gap ever could. Here's the dark psychology. Recruiters are trained to use silence as a weapon. They'll ask about your salary expectations, then stay quiet. The amateur panics and starts talking. Well, I'm currently making X, but I'd be happy with Y. They've just revealed their floor and ceiling in one nervous breath. The professional states their number and stops. Silence. Now the recruiter has to speak next, and when they do, they're usually explaining why they can't meet that number, which means they're negotiating toward it. Machiavelli understood that silence is strength. The person who talks reveals their thinking. The person who stays quiet reveals nothing. In any power dynamic, information flows from the talker to the silent. So here's the strategy. You practice becoming comfortable with silence. You train yourself by counting to 10 after someone makes an offer, by breathing instead of talking, by waiting instead of reacting. Let me give you a real scenario. CEO is negotiating his compensation package. They offer 300k base. The professional sits there, counts to 10, studies the room. Finally, after 45 seconds, the CEO speaks. I need to think about the total structure. Meeting ends. 2 days later, the board comes back with 350k base. Why? Because the silence made them doubt their initial offer. The CEO's comfort with silence signaled confidence that scared them into bidding higher. Here's the twist. Silence is only powerful when you're comfortable with it. If you're sitting there quiet but visibly nervous, they'll sense weakness. But if you're quiet and clearly at ease, they sense strength. The paradox is brutal. The more desperate you are to fill silence, the less power you have. The more comfortable you are with pauses, the more they'll fill those pauses with concessions. Your discomfort with silence is costing you thousands per conversation. From today forward, practice the pause. When someone makes an offer, count to 10 before responding. When someone asks a question, breathe before answering. Train yourself to be the person who's comfortable when everyone else is squirming. Drop this affirmation, I own the pause. Law 4. Your reasons are ammunition. Your boss asks why you need to leave early Friday. You explain. My kid has a recital, and my wife is working late, and I already work through lunch 3 times. You think you're building a case. You're not. You're loading their gun. Because now they know exactly where to aim. Can't your wife adjust her schedule? What about a babysitter? Every reason you gave is now a reason they can dismantle. But watch the different approach. I need to leave at 4 on Friday. No explanation. If they push back, you repeat the boundary. I understand, and I still need to leave at 4. No ammunition provided. Here's what you need to understand. Every time you justify a decision, you're implying your decision needs justification. You're suggesting it might not be valid. You're opening the door for someone else to decide whether your reasons are good enough. Think about how much power you've given away this way. Every time you explained why you couldn't work overtime, every time you justified why you need a certain salary, each explanation was an invitation for someone else to judge whether your reasons met their standards. And their standards are designed to get more from you for less. This costs you specifically. You explain why you can't take on another project, listing your current workload. Now they know exactly what you're working on and how to shuffle things to squeeze more out of you. You explain why you need a raise, listing your bills. Now they know your financial pressure points. Organizations are designed to extract justifications from you. Your boss doesn't actually care why you need time off. They care whether you'll cave when they push back. Every time you explain, you're giving them exactly what they need to keep you in place. Machiavelli said, "He who builds on the people builds on mud. He who builds his authority on explanations builds on mud." Explanations can be challenged, but a decision that stands without explanation is immovable. So what you do instead, you make decisions and state them without justification. I'm not available that weekend. My rate is $200 an hour. I need this to succeed, so I'm making this call. No reasons, no weak points to attack. Employee needs 3 days off. Amateur approach. I need 3 days because my brother is getting married, and I'm in the wedding, and I bought the plane ticket. Now the boss has options. Can you just go for the wedding day? Every reason becomes a negotiation point. Professional approach. I need 3 days off starting Monday. That's it. If pushed, it's a personal commitment, and I need those 3 days. Still no details. The amateur gave 6 attack points. The professional gave 0. Here's the insight. When you give reasons, you make your position contingent on those reasons being accepted. When you simply state your position, you make it contingent on nothing. One is weak, one is strong. The paradox: the fewer reasons you give, the more reasonable you seem. Confidence doesn't need justification. When you state something firmly without over-explaining, people assume you must have good reasons even if you don't share them. Drop this affirmation: my decisions need no defense. Law 5. Information is your capital. You're at a work happy hour. Colleague asks what you're working on outside work. You tell them about your side business idea. You explain the model. You share your strategy. You think you're networking. You're not. You're giving away the one asset that could have made you wealthy. 3 months later, that colleague launches a similar business, beats you to market. That casual conversation cost you $80,000 in first-year revenue, and you handed it to them. Here's what most people never understand. What you know isn't valuable. What you know that others don't know is valuable. The moment you share it, you destroy its value. Your competitive advantage becomes everyone's strategy. Think about every successful entrepreneur. What do they have in common? They guard information like gold. They sign NDAs. They use code names for projects. They tell people only what they need to know. This isn't paranoia. This is protection of assets. But you've been convinced that transparency is virtue, that sharing is caring. In the wealth building game, that thinking keeps you broke. Every business insight you share is an insight they can now use or sell. Every strategy you reveal is a strategy they can copy. This costs you specifically. You tell someone about a stock you're researching before you buy. They buy first, driving up the price. Lost returns. You share your business model with someone who wants to learn. They become competition. Lost customers. Companies do informal chats to extract information. They ask casual questions about your projects. You think it's relationship building. They're data mining. Your manager asks what you're learning in side projects. You explain enthusiastically. They now know which skills to demand without paying more. Machiavelli wrote about intelligence. The intelligent person surrounds themselves with information collectors, not information sharers. They take in everything and give out carefully measured pieces. This asymmetry builds wealth. So here's the strategy. You become an information vault. You collect insights constantly. You observe. You ask questions. But when someone asks about your plans, you give minimal responses. Still figuring things out. Exploring options. These aren't lies. They're information conservation. You're developing expertise in AI automation. This knowledge could become consulting income at $150 an hour. The amateur talks about it everywhere. I'm learning all about AI automation. They give away free consulting, they train competitors. The professional keeps it quiet, learns intensively, builds capability in private. Then, when someone has a problem and is willing to pay, that's when the expertise appears. I specialize in that. My rate is $150 an hour. The mystery added value. The silence multiplied worth. Here's the insight. Information shared is leverage lost. Information hoarded is leverage gained. Every piece of knowledge you give away freely is a piece someone else can use to compete with you. But every piece you keep strategically builds your advantage. The paradox. The less you tell people, the more valuable what you know becomes. Scarcity applies to information. When your knowledge seems abundant and freely shared, it's worth nothing. When it seems rare and protected, people will pay premium rates to access it. From today forward, treat information like money. Don't spend it unless you're getting value in return. When someone asks what you know, Ask yourself, what do I gain by telling them? Most of the time, you'll realize you gain nothing and lose significant potential. Drop this affirmation. My intel is expensive. Law 6. Justification. Kills authority. You're leading a team meeting. You make a decision about project direction. Immediately you start explaining. The reason I think we should do this is because I analysed the data and I compared approaches, and based on all that, I believe this is right. You think you're being transparent. You're not. You're killing your authority with every word. Here's what your team hears. This person needs our approval. This person isn't sure. This person's decision is debatable. The moment they hear that, your leadership is over. Watch the different approach. We're going with approach B. That's it. No explanation unless specifically asked. And even then, minimal context. It aligns with our goals and data supports it. Short, clear. Your team might not love it, but they know it's final. Think about every weak leader you've worked under. What did they have in common? They over-explained everything. They justified every decision. And what happened? Their teams questioned everything. Nobody respected the decisions because the leader's uncertainty was visible. Now think about strong leaders. Did they give detailed justifications for every move? Or did they execute with quiet confidence? They understood. Leaders who justify lose influence. Leaders who declare command respect. This costs you real money. The manager who constantly explains gets passed over for executive roles. Why? Because executives don't explain, they decide. The consultant who justifies recommendations gets ignored. Justification implies uncertainty. Organizations want you to over-explain. They call it collaborative leadership. But what they really want is visible decision-making they can influence. The leader who justifies everything is the leader who can be steered. The leader who simply executes is the leader who takes power. Machiavelli observed, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." This means being certain. Respect comes from certainty, not from seeking agreement. When you justify, you're seeking agreement. When you declare, you're commanding respect. So what you do instead, you make decisions and announce them. Here's what we're doing. Not, here's what I'm thinking we should maybe do. You give direction and move forward. Start phase 2 Monday. Not, what do you guys think about starting phase 2? Founder of a struggling startup needed to pivot. Professional approach. We're pivoting to B2B starting next month. Here's your new focus areas. Questions about execution only. Meeting done in 20 minutes. Team knew it wasn't debatable. Company saved. Why? Because authority wasn't diluted with justification. Here's the twist. Explanation feels good to you, but weakens your position. Declaration feels uncomfortable, but strengthens your authority. Your comfort with explanation is keeping you from real leadership. The paradox: the less you explain your decisions, the more people trust them. Explanation implies doubt. Declaration implies confidence. Humans naturally follow confident direction more readily than justified suggestion. From today forward, practice declaring without defending. Make your decision, announce it clearly. Move forward without looking back to see who's convinced. Will everyone agree? No. Will everyone follow? Yes, if you're certain. Drop this affirmation. I lead, not explain. Law 7. Silence is your price. You're in a salary negotiation. They make an offer, 85Ks. You immediately respond, "Oh, that's great, but I was really hoping for 95K because..." And you just lost 15K because in your rush to fill the silence, you negotiated against yourself. But watch what happens differently. They offer 85Ks. You sit there, you don't smile, you don't frown, you don't speak. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15 seconds. The silence becomes crushing. Finally, they break. Of course, depending on your start date, we might be able to look at 90K. You still haven't spoken. You just made 5K in 15 seconds of silence. That's 333 rallies per second. This is the ultimate application. Your silence isn't just protective, it's literally currency. Every moment you stay quiet in a negotiation is a moment their uncertainty grows, and uncertainty makes people generous. Think about how much money you've left on the table by speaking too soon. Every job offer you accepted immediately. Every rate you confirmed right away. Over a 20-year career, this single mistake costs you 400K minimum. Here's the psychology. Companies offer you what they think you'll accept, not what you're worth. When you respond immediately, you confirm their guess was right. But when you sit in silence, when you let them wonder if they've insulted you, suddenly that fixed budget becomes flexible. They're testing you as that first number. It's never their best offer. Your silence is the test of their test. If you stay quiet long enough, they'll usually improve it without you asking. Machiavelli said, "Never attempt to win by force what can be won by deception. Never negotiate with words what can be won with silence. Silence reveals nothing while forcing them to reveal everything. So here's the strategy. When they make an offer, any offer, your first move is no move. Let me review this. I need to think about the complete package. Then you stop talking. For 24 to 48 hours minimum, you let them sit in uncertainty. What happens during that silence is psychological warfare. Meanwhile, you're just living your life, but they're in meetings. Do you think the offer is competitive? Should we have gone higher? Their uncertainty grows with every hour, and often, by the time you respond, they've already decided to improve the offer. CFO negotiating a new position. Company offers 180K base. The professional responds 3 days later. I appreciate the offer. I need to consider the complete structure. Then silence for 48 more hours. In those 5 days, the company has nervous meetings. They come back. 200K base, extra vacation, signing bonus, accelerated equity vesting. The silence generated 20K more salary, plus benefits worth another 15K annually. That's 75Ks in year 1. Over 5 years, it's 400K, all from not talking for 5 days. Here's the insight. People don't respect what comes too easily. When you agree immediately, you signal you would have taken less. When you deliberate in silence, you signal you have options. That perception is worth money. The paradox. The less eager you seem, the more they want to secure you. The more you deliberate, the more valuable you appear. Your comfort with not responding immediately is literally worth thousands per negotiation. From today forward, never accept an offer immediately. Never confirm a rate on the spot. Always take time. Let me review everything and get back to you. Then actually take that time. 48 hours minimum. Let them feel your absence. In that doubt, that's where the extra money's hiding. This only works if you're genuinely comfortable walking away. If you're desperate, they'll sense it. But if you've built options, your silence becomes terrifying to them. And terrified buyers pay premiums. Drop this affirmation. Silence is my negotiation weapon. You just learned 7 laws that most people never discover. Your whole life, you've been trained to explain, justify, share, fill silences. And every single one of those instincts has been making you cheaper and easier to control. But now you see the other side. how explanation is confession, how mystery creates value, how silence reverses power, how your reasons become ammunition, how information is capital, how justification destroys authority, how silence converts to money. These are weapons the highest paid people already use. Tomorrow morning you have a choice. Keep being the person who explains himself into poverty. That person stays at 65k forever. Or be the other person, the one who stops explaining and starts declaring. Who creates mystery instead of transparency? Who owns silence? Who guards information? Who leads without justifying? Who negotiates with pauses? That person gets 95Ks, then 130k, then starts building real wealth. This is the binary choice. Keep doing what everyone does and stay where you are. Or implement these 7 laws, feel uncomfortable for a while, and watch how fast everything changes. You can't do this halfway. The habit of explanation is deep. You need to reprogram completely. Every conversation becomes practice. Every meeting becomes training. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to choose silence over explanation. Yes, it'll feel wrong at first. You'll feel rude when you don't explain. You'll feel uncomfortable when you don't fill silences. Good. That discomfort is the price of transformation. Because on the other side is a version of yourself that commands different respect and earns different money. 6 months from now, if you do this, you'll state a decision without explaining and nobody will question you. You'll stay silent after an offer, and they'll improve it without you asking. You'll deflect information extraction while learning everything about them, and in each moment, you'll remember this video. Your income will reflect it too. Within a year, you'll be making 20k, 40k more. Within 5 years, the gap will be 100k plus, not because you got better at your job, but because you got better at power. But you have to decide right now, because the moment you leave this video, your old habits are waiting. Unless you make a concrete decision that you're done with all that, if this rewired how you see power, hit that like button. If you know someone explaining themselves into mediocrity, send them this. Subscribe because the next videos go even deeper. Remember these 7 laws. 1. Explanation is confession of weakness. 2. Mystery creates value. 3. Silence reverses power. 4. Your reasons are ammunition against you. 5. Information is your capital. 6. Justification kills authority. 7. Silence is your price. Drop this final affirmation. I am expensive because I am quiet. Every word you don't say is money they can't take. Every explanation you withhold is power they can't touch. Every silence you master is leverage they can't overcome. The talkers stay poor, the explainers stay powerless. But the quiet ones rise. They earn. They win. You're not that person who talks too much anymore. You know too much now. The only question is whether you'll actually apply what you know, whether you'll push through the awkwardness until it becomes natural power. Walk into tomorrow with new rules. Stop explaining yourself. Start commanding respect. Stop justifying your value. Start embodying it. Stop filling silences. Start weaponizing them. Stay silent. Stay expensive. Stay dangerous. Your silence is your salary. Guard it like the asset it is.